Yes. I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay.
Better now that it's full warm.
Let's bring this meeting to order. It is, actually, put that up just a minute. Oh, thank you. 5:38 p.m. We have, Ashley, Marie, Evelyn, Ria, Anthony, Samantha, Lewis, and, Tim in attendance. No members of the public currently. And let's go ahead and dive in to the agenda. Any public comment? Well, it's technically your public for a minute, but you don't have to have comment unless you want. Okay. So let's go ahead and do speaker presentations. Wait, is this?
This February.
Because, why did I delete that? I'm very confused right now. Okay, that shouldn't be there. So Fred is not gonna be joining us today. Yeah, everything's okay. So Freda won't be joining, but just to give an update, she's traveling currently. There is the upcoming big book blowout sale. Did I get that name right?
Mhm.
Okay, that is gonna be, is it this Saturday?
I think it's Saturday. Last Saturday.
Was it not?
Yeah, okay. So tell everybody, because what they're trying to do you want to cover it?
Yeah, so in talking to the friends, we are going to be getting the space in Lansingburg for the bookseller back to use as a children's room at Lansingburg until the roof repairs and the children's room renovation project can be completed. And this means that the friends will have a donation space upstairs in the storage room behind the program room. We had offered the friends physical space in the main library, but they want to move towards doing more pop-up rather than having just like a physical storefront. So we're still giving them like a workspace and room for donations and sorting. Yeah, so they need to downsize some of their inventory.
It looked like they were last week. So this storage room here, what you're giving them or up in Lansing?
The storage room here at the main library, upstairs behind the programming room.
Just taking it out. Okay, I got a thing to bring up later. Okay, perfect. Any other friends? We're currently still working on the MOU that's in draft. And any other friends' business? Friends aren't here, but we'll try to get them to always have someone if we can. Consent agenda, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from the personnel meeting on January 9th, the policy and governance committee. Actually, that got taken out, right? So that's not in there, so we'll have that for next time. Yep. The finance committee minutes from January 12th, and then the board meeting minutes from January 13th. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. Moving along. Finance, Marie, do you want to cover treasurer's report?
Okay. The big thing in the treasurer's report is we're at the end of the time at which we expect a big payment from this year's taxes. And we tend to run low on cash as a result. Particularly because we have paid bills for the HVAC system for which we've not been reimbursed, which makes us lower than we would have been otherwise. We use money from our operating reserve. So currently our cash on hand, which generally is based on operating account, payroll account, and the operating reserve, is $157,000, $576.35, which are expenses, payroll and bill payment for the month of February, would amount to more than that. So what we decided to do was try to focus just on those bills that had to be paid. And Lindsay had suggested the online bill payments, which are scheduled already.
30.
It was about 35,000. But also since last night, we identified 3 more bills. 2 of them are for programs that are going to be occurring. And the third is the water and sewer payment for the city of Troy. I think we'd incur, we're close to incurring late fees if we don't pay that.
What's the total of the new one?
300, $36,839.57 is the new total of bills that we'd like to see paid. Now, we approved all the bills except we said that the ones outside of that amount should wait for receipt of the tax payment. And do you want to talk about when we expect that?
Lindsay and I have been communicating with the city comptroller in the city office. So essentially the check is going to be cut no later than February 20th, the week of the 20th. So Lindsay and I will be going over to City Hall to pick up the check, and we asked them not to mail it. So that's when we're expecting. Marie said that in the past, we typically receive about 50% of the total tax levy during that March, February payment. So that would be, we are expecting around $1.2 million, but we'll know it when we see it. So the other thing, just to add on to what Marie was saying for context, we have that, roughly $157,000. We're anticipating between the next 2 payroll periods. Each of those is going to be around $50,000. So we are very close to the edge.
Right, if we had a quick payment immediately for all our bills, we would have been.
Yes.
I wanted to mention, however, that we had our treasury bills come due for $111,000. And so far, we haven't reinvested it just in case we need it. While we're awaiting the payments. So we do have a little bit of a cushion.
Thank you, Marie.
Let's see what else is here. We don't have any budget revisions for 2026 yet. We're waiting to see how we do because we had talked about using some of our excess from 2025 to cover the library assistant. And also about $10,000 for some additional payroll money. But we may not need it. We're not going to take it unless we need it. The Schwab account, we're hoping to put in the big operating reserve money from the tax receipts. In order to get a better rate, you have to put in $1 million. And then once we put in the $1 million, we can go below that. But you need that initial, at least $1 million to go into the Schwab account. Does anybody have any questions about why we're doing the Schwab account? Okay.
That'll be exciting.
It will be
It'd
exciting.
be nice to see our money make money.
It will be. Well, to make more money.
Do you wanna start a pool to see how much?
How much?
Yeah, I'm curious.
I think the rate is about 4 times what we get for the investment account.
Okay.
They were very generous with us for the investment account. They upped it to 0.9%. So, yes, we expect to do
I
better.
have to have a calculator, keep going. Are you better at it?
I haven't looked at what the rate is currently
We think
for
we're
the
good.
Schwab.
I think it's about 1.2 that we're getting, right? 1,200,000, about maybe, not sure entirely.
Ish.
That's our projection.
And you said it was 0.9, 0.109. What's the?
I think it's 0.9 on the investment account.
9/10%, right?
Hmm?
9/10%, right?
I think so. And on the Schwab account, last time I checked, it was about 3.6 something.
Okay.
So 4 times as much. The other thing that's listed here before we get to the approval of the bills, is the payroll audit status.
Do we need to go into executive session?
I have a call with council, so I would like to update the board, on the status of. Specific individuals who are impacted by the payroll audit.
Sounds good. So I would like to make a motion to enter executive session to discuss the current staff payroll schedule for 2026 and beyond. And this does have to do with union bargaining. So do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Goodbye, Liz.
Thank
Thank you. We'll grab you. Hopefully it won't take too long. We'll see. Okay, we went into executive session at 5:49 PM. Anthony, you seconded. At that point, motion passed unanimously. We exited executive session at 6:06 PM. Anthony seconded. Motion passed unanimously. No actions were taken. Okay, move on.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you wanted to bring up the external treasurer. The Office of the State Controller likes to see a treasurer that's employed by the board, but not a member of the board. We're getting larger. Our budget now exceeds $2 million. We should be in a better position to be able to afford someone in that role. And so I had proposed us looking to move forward.
So some
okay.
content, may
Mhm.
some context to like add on to this for folks who are new is we had this conversation previously when the board took the Finance 101 training with Upper Hudson. And we began to look into this. I think I'm in agreement, but I will say that it is very challenging to find someone at this like smallest scale who will take the work. I had asked 2 or 3 different contacts that I had who wouldn't take it because it just wasn't enough or whatever. So it'll be really important to like, if we're going at this again in earnest, to like go as far out as we can to try and find someone who will support the work. If they're, even if they're paid or volunteer.
Earlier, when there was concern about finding people to work on our finances, I had someone that I recommended who is a CPA, has years of experience, decades of experience. And at that time, when I spoke with her about what we were considering, which was somebody in the interim before we hired a business manager, she was willing to work with us.
Oh, okay.
And at what I thought was a quite reasonable rate.
I was going to add for context for the board too, several of the. Good catch. Sam.
Yeah, wow.
Several of the large libraries are going to start meeting monthly to kind of discuss issues and norms and things like that. So, several of the other libraries in the area do have either an outside bookkeeper or CPA. This is someone who will work about 6 hours a month. Working with the director and the business manager. To Marie and Ashley's point about transparency, it's someone who's outside of my reporting structure and is another person that the board can go to with questions. In practice, Lindsay and I would bring the bills to the treasurer. We would have that discussion. They would sign, again, they would be worked out who signs off on it. It would still probably end up being whoever the chair of finance committee is, whatever we deem to call that person. And so it would just be another kind of check and balance. You would have the treasurer, you would have the director, and you would have the business manager. Available to answer questions from the board.
And it would provide us a source of fiscal advice, which for me, I would welcome. Any questions on that?
Next steps, what does that look like? Does anyone think, let's do it this way, does anyone think we shouldn't pursue this? Okay, all right, next steps, what could that look like? Reach out.
Reaching out, identifying the money
Mhm.
to pay the person.
Let's get quotes back from people, and we'd have to align with our fiscal policy, so we'll need at least 3.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have one person, but we need more.
I would have to see whether that person's still available, but I don't want to ask her, you know, third time without knowing whether there's going to be any follow-up.
What do you mean?
Well, I have had contacted her 2 times in the past about whether she would be available.
Mm.
But nothing came of it from
Were we
us,
giving it to the director before or to board presidents?
the directors.
The good news is we don't have to do that, because it's our fire.
Employee of the board.
The only one, that's not true.
But we should identify that we have the money to pay the person.
Mhm.
I think that's probably the biggest concern, but it's where I'm like. Is anyone out there wanting to give pro bono services? Probably not for this. I would be cautious of their fiscal.
I will say that in Bethlehem's arrangement, they do have a CPA who does this and they do it basically as volunteer work. There is like a very small stipend that they're, you know, being given. But so there are some folks who are feeling very generous with the state of the world right now.
So let's start with a list of people we want to reach out to. I've got 2 names. You've got somebody. Anybody else?
Going back to no.
Then we also need to adjust the budget for this, just to.
Well, we need to find where the money's coming from.
And how much we're willing to allocate per month and what that would even like, what the structure of it would even look like, should we find what we're taking from the budget.
I'm not sure what that means in relation to the budget.
If I may, Ashley, so for instance, you know, perhaps in the first part of the year when Lindsay and I are spending more time on the audit, we might be using the treasurer of the board a little bit more as opposed to like the end of the year. So I think if I understood you, Ashley, it's kind of figuring out how much we would use them, how many hours per year or month, or based on the needs of the library, or
Right.
okay.
Yeah, just the basics, like
Yeah.
how many hours a month are we asking? What would we be able to pay them? All of the basic questions before we go out there.
Professional services is back in the February report. Did you see that? Oh,
I'm sorry. Just out of curiosity, Marie, I'm wondering if you had a treasurer now, excuse me. If we had a treasurer in place now, are there certain questions that you'd want to ask the treasurer at this point, or is it something just very hypothetical that's sort of undetermined?
Tim is shaking his head, yes.
Should I direct the question at Tim?
Yes.
I understand.
Mainly just, you know, what's the right way to be doing things?
Accrual versus modified cash,
Well,
right?
that,
And other.
not so much that, but just,
It was the biggest point of debate yesterday during the finance committee. So that's one example.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And I think it's worth it to revisit. I mean, we had a lot of conversation back when we took that training the first time, as we walked through the examples of what ours looks like pre-Lindsay. Now we have Lindsay, and we have some practices in place that probably weren't at the time we took it. So I think it's worth revisiting that. And then actually, it's probably good for anyone that's new to take the Finance 101.
I was also going to say, the discussion around an asset inventory had also come up. So normally that's something that's outlined in the board's fiscal policy, where assets over a certain dollar value are identified for amortization. So there's like more sophisticated accounting practices that, you know, Lindsay's not a CPA. We do the best we can, but, you know, would be able to give us guidance to do some more sophisticated governmental accounting.
Which is the first step in a capital plan, a multi-year capital plan, which is one of the biggest needs that we are going to talk about very soon on our agenda. We need a lot more money, and in order to get more money, we also have to know what we have. And we have, I don't want to say no clue. We don't know what it's valued at.
Right. There was also a discussion among library directors recently. Some of them have had, you know, facilities, events and incidents, whether it's flooding in East Greenbush or RCS had a flood some years ago. So one of the things that we've been discussing at the director level is just, one of the libraries was underinsured. So making sure that library assets are insured for the proper amount in the event of damage, things like that. So, whether it's our Tiffany tables, the Tiffany window, the buildings. There's a lot of, I don't know that we've really done a thorough inventory of our assets.
Doesn't make
Tiffany
sense.
windows are priceless, so they're hard to insure.
Exactly.
I did go through all the minutes. There was no mention of the asset inventory anyway.
No, I could not find anything in my email.
Another issue that's been outstanding for maybe 3 years is separating out the capital budget from the operating budget.
Yeah.
And so we could use advice on that.
Mhm.
I have the things that I would like to see, but I don't know that they're correct.
And I feel like if I recall in that training, we were given the example of how Upper Hudson separates out theirs.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that was a main topic of conversation.
And it's something I've talked with the auditors about. They weren't really helpful. They're kind of interested in auditing.
Weird.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody have any questions on any of the reports? Okay, if that's the case, well, I'm gonna make a motion to approve payment of bills in the amount of $36,839.57.
A second, but with a comment.
Okay.
Are we going to do the contingent payment?
Oh, that's right, sorry. And with the remaining outstanding bills to be paid on receipt and availability of the tax funds.
Awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you for navigating this tax levy. Okay. Let's move on, director's report. Tim, you're up.
My apologies, everyone, for the lateness of my director's report. It has been a busy couple months. Normally this would be in the consent agenda, but given how late it was, it's probably better to pull it out and just go over the items. Administratively, we've been working behind the scenes to make improvements. One of the biggest ones was going from a manual payroll system to an automated payroll system. So Lindsay and I had started working on that in October of 2025. And we were able to make the switch, the last pay period in December of 2025. So that will certainly make Lindsay's life easier. It's easier for the staff at this point to input their time card through an app or on a workstation rather than having to fill out 100 little pieces of paper for every time off request, sick day, etc. So that was great. The library has also started to discontinue Hoopla as of March 6th. But we are using that money to reinvest in new products and services like Comics Plus and Canopy, which is a video streaming service, and also to reinvest money into Libby and our Overdrive app. So that way Troy patrons will have shorter wait times on specific high demand items. The library was working on several facilities projects over the past 2 months, including the removal of a mostly dead tree in front of the Lansingburg branch, the removal of the old carpeting in the basement of the main library, and then switching staff from the upstairs art gallery where their temporary offices were located as a result of the HVAC construction project and moving them back into the basement with new workspaces. Our new public information officer and I recently completed a National Endowment for the Arts Big Read grant, which would provide $15,000 in matching funds to execute a citywide reading program in the city of Troy in spring 2027. And we're also currently working on a $15,000 McCarthy Charities grant to provide the matching funds for that NEA grant. In the event that the NEA grant is not accepted, they're highly competitive, so they'll typically receive over 1,000 applications from all across the country. And I think they award 17 or 18 of them. So in the event it's not awarded, we'll use the McCarthy Charities money to do the program at a slightly smaller scale. There have been a number of issues related to staff safety and public health. So as part of this, the library is going to be conducting a cultural survey of the employees in collaboration with the union. There was a situation where 2 people overdosed in the Lansingburg bathroom. Staff did have to administer 2 doses of Narcan to one of the patrons. They refused medical care and then came back up to the main library, to start using again. So as a result of that, I'm also reaching out to, there's a group, Urban Librarians Unite, that authored the Urban Library Trauma Study. So they've offered to do like a support group for the staff, who had to administer Narcan, and who had to deal with that situation.
Which they did very well.
Yeah, I mean, they did incredible, and really saved that person's life. I mean, yeah, it really was a life-saving situation. And I just cannot thank the staff enough. I mean, they did everything perfectly, and they've had so much training in how to do that, and they did everything perfectly, and they saved that person's life. So, yeah. Some of the other incidents that we've been having to deal with, it's not uncommon for libraries to see an increase in the number of events that happen in the winter months because it's colder and more people are coming inside to seek shelter. So typically over the summer, as a result of having the community engagement specialist at the library, we were seeing a reduction in only maybe 4 to 5, events a month. That would often be referring people to mental health services or something less severe. And at this point, we're back up to between 10 to 15 incidents per month. I think we've had in the past 2 months, we've had to call emergency services. I want to say 5 or 6 times. So it's definitely not uncommon in libraries for this to happen, but we do want to make sure we're still able to take care of people. So, a number of the staff have been having to deal with sexual harassment from library patrons. So that is being dealt with. One particular incident involved someone sexually harassing a librarian verbally and then making like gender-based harassment comments to another staff member. So that person ultimately was banned for 1 year. But again, really just trying to focus on staff safety and having a safe working environment for the staff. In terms of hiring, we hired our public information officer. We promoted a part-time library assistant to full-time, as Marie had mentioned, in the finance committee. Because we were able to hire that full-time library assistant, we were able to then move someone from the circulation department with a background in youth services into the youth services department. So that way they have one more person to help with all the outreach to schools and programs for children and families. And we hired 2 new library assistants, one here at the main library, one at Lansingburg. The staff at Lansingburg will be starting later this month. We're still working to address the vacancies with the head of adult services and the custodian. Applications are being reviewed in both of those cases. I talked a little bit about public safety, but facilities, the hot water heater and the sump pump at Lansingburg were both faulty. The hot water heater was leaking, and then the sump pump wasn't pumping water out of the basement. We did receive a quote from the vendor right before this meeting that we were waiting on. It was roughly $3,100 for the replacement of the hot water heater and the replacement of the sump pump. So that is certainly a high priority repair that we're going to need.
Separate from the ice stand.
That's separate from the ice stand.
Oh.
And Yeah, and truly, I don't know if it's an ice dam. We haven't had a chance for anyone to get up on the roof. So we're still trying to schedule with a contractor to investigate that. With the snow being on the roof and with us, you know, I don't know if I should go up there and clear it or wait for professionals or see if it warms up and the snow melts and we can get someone on the roof or what that looks like.
What's the process for getting them into there?
Um, it- I'm not sure at this point.
So, let me ask it differently.
Yeah.
You have calls into people, and you're
Yes.
waiting to hear back.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Yep.
just high demand.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, it was a brutal cold spell.
Yeah.
Yep. And then looking at the outreach and professional development for me, December was a pretty quiet month. Just with the holidays coming up, and then with January, I just wanted to point out that there was an interview with WAMC about the HVAC upgrade and the status of that. And there was an email that was sent out right before this meeting, where Congressman Paul Tonko's office let us know that we're in line for $2 million in funding to complete that project. So we will be following up with WAMC when it's appropriate and other news outlets and coordinating on that. A group of RPI students reached out to the library to conduct a website usability study. So Patrick has been working with the students, and that's been really great, at least for them to start to think about what the website for a public good can be like, or aspirationally the kind of website that we could have. They won't be doing any of the coding or redoing the website, but just getting more information to help us better redesign it when the time and money appears. Lastly, there was a meeting for the downtown bid neighborhood group. It used to be called the Quality of Life meeting that was held the end of January. Moving forward, they will be holding that meeting at the library. So it'll be nice to have business owners and people who wouldn't normally visit the library be coming into the library to see our space. So that is my report.
Does everyone here already know about the proctor's request?
No, the city approached me and asked if I wanted to be on a committee for arts and culture with the city. I had said yes. And then the committee turned out to be a subcommittee of arts and culture regarding the historic renovation of Proctor's Theater. So I wasn't able to attend the first meeting of that. But I do have a lot of demands on my time with the library, so it's something I would like to participate in, but if the board would like me to spend more of my time working on the library, I would certainly understand and would certainly remove myself from that group.
We are gonna talk about schedule later.
Exactly.
My advice, then we'll defer to others, is probably not within your bandwidth.
Exactly. Mhm.
Also knowing it's a hornet's nest of political fury right now.
Right. A nebulous arts and culture committee was very different than an arts and culture committee for the subcommittee of proctors, so. Framing matters.
I do have two questions on
Yeah.
the report. Actually, I have a very quick question. If there's something that is a little bit more detail oriented of a question with regard to the facilities,
Yeah.
is it okay to ask it now, or should I wait until the
No.
buildings committee?
You can ask now, yeah.
Okay, I think when we met, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when we met for the buildings, it wasn't confirmed at that point that anything needed replacement, it was just. A tech was gonna come in and see what the situation was, so
Mhm.
confirmation is that both need
Correct,
to be replaced.
correct.
So what does that have to do with the thermostat scheduling issue?
Great question. Not necessarily directly related. It was an issue where, so for those folks who don't know, a tech had come out to look at it. There were some changes made to the thermostat. But staff don't have the ability on site to make changes to the schedule of the thermostat. And so after that visit, staff were complaining because the thermostat was dropping down to 59 degrees to be set at 59 degrees. The temperature in the building never got below 62 degrees, which is still quite cold. And we were keeping an eye on that from like a staff safety perspective. So we had initially called the people who do our boiler work. And they had told us like, look, we don't do that. You have to talk to the thermostat people. The thermostat people are based up in Malone, New York, which is northern New York. So scheduling a service call with them to have them come down. There's like no instruction manual, nothing. So staff are, so we're waiting to fit into the schedule for the thermostat people who can then train us how to change the thermostat schedule or make the necessary adjustments so that we can change the schedule for the thermostat in the building. Yeah, good question.
I do have another question unrelated to that.
Yep.
It's related to the safety and health,
Mhm.
with the overdosing. I think you said it happened in the bathroom.
Mhm.
Is there anything protocol in place when that happens in terms of scanning the bathroom and cleaning it or making sure that there's no drugs left over in the facility?
It's a great question. So as part of the training that we have gone through with county public health and with other folks, one of the things that you're trained to do is kind of assess the situation to see if it is safe enough to administer Narcan. So in my own, using my own experience, the one time that I could have administered Narcan, someone had fallen off of the toilet while they were using, and there was, blood and body fluid and things like that. So it was not safe for me to go near them to administer Narcan. So really focusing on that safety of the person administering Narcan is very high priority. All the staff are kind of trained, like, look, if this is above what you are trained and feel comfortable to do, don't do it. We just have to wait for emergency medical professionals. I will say that staff have not necessarily received bloodborne pathogen training or stop the bleed training. So those are two areas that I've identified with our HR consultant for them to become more familiar with. In this instance, it was safe enough for staff to approach both the patrons and for staff to administer Narcan to the person. After the event happened, I went on site. I cleaned up. There was only a little bit of the paraphernalia that was left over. So disposed of that and then worked with our cleaning contractor to take extra care with the restrooms
Thanks.
the following morning. We did have one of the bathrooms out of order until it could be properly cleaned by our janitor.
It's a policy, because there's a lot of procedure behind this.
Yeah.
There's training behind this.
Procedure.
But then there's also, is there a policy that needs to be in here? I feel like there's gotta be something.
I would struggle.
During COVID, we had the communicable disease policy,
Right.
and everyone had to have that.
Yeah.
And that's different.
It could be related when you think about bloodborne illness being communicable, I guess, would be, but there isn't necessarily anything. If it was written particularly for COVID, we would just have to double check to see if there was any like bloodborne pathogen related stuff that could fit into there.
I feel like Sam would have advice.
Yeah. Yep.
That's good.
One of the people I know in the world of libraries wrote a COVID plan that was adopted by 20 states and 13 countries, so I can also reach out to them.
That's fine. That'd be good. Can we talk a little bit more in executive session about safety? I think that that's an area of concern that has come up through public comment and some comments that came into the board. And we did discuss with Sam some approaches to that during personnel. But it does get into specific staff needs for development, and that's my question.
I'm comfortable talking about it in open session, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to cover that from cultural assessment, safety training? How do you want to take that?
Well, I guess like, can you give me a prompt, I guess? Like, what's the starting point for me?
We understand that there are a number of potential liabilities.
Mhm.
Because the
Yes.
staff currently is not fully trained or, I would say. There's not as much access to certain materials that could help improve safety in facilities. Sam had mentioned things like, sharps containers or signage or anything.
Yeah.
Just around, the fact that when one of the incidents that occurred was a patron who was saying that, show me where this says in your code of conduct, I can't behave the way that I am.
Mhm.
To which the employee was having to go downstairs, print the code of conduct and bring it up, because there isn't a version that is otherwise available and visible within the facility. So I think that there are some places where it sounds like, there's internal operational things that could be different, but then there's of course staff development, which has been a conflict with how do you take staff and get that safety committee going
Yeah.
with the shortage of staff. And you did have a town hall coming in. When is that rescheduled for?
Sam and I are still working out the dates for that.
Okay, and I know that's also in alignment, I think, with is that in alignment with union? Union?
The start and announcement of that, yep.
So trying to get that scheduled, and then. Just knowing that there are a number of concerns that have come up, how do those get addressed? And I think that gets into when we receive complaints or concerns, what do we do with them? And so one of the things that Sam and I talked about was, let's make a flow chart for the board. We need something that when someone brings a thing up, whether they're a member of the public or a former board member or a member of the staff, what is our procedure internally for handling that? Because we shouldn't just be, we already know we shouldn't be talking to staff in that way. But there hasn't been good protocol around that,
Mhm.
and there honestly haven't been many resources available to them. So now we do have a third-party HR representative contact. And staff is aware of them. But there may be some inconsistency in communication depending on if someone's full-time or part-time. It sounds like sometimes someone may or may not be around for certain communication. May need to be reminded.
Yeah.
Someone may or may not have a supervisor, which means that if protocol is that someone should go to their supervisor first, do they have a supervisor? And then if the protocol is that they go to you, do they feel comfortable going to you?
Mhm.
And then from there, do they know to go to HR and do they have Sam's contact and feel comfortable to go there? Is Sam responsive? There was an incident over the last month where someone said that HR was not responsive to their concern. That was over a period of time where Sam was very ill and it was the holiday. They've since had contact and have maintained that. But in the event that we have HR going non-responsive, do they know to go to the union? And are they within the bargaining unit? We need to have the ability to kind of put these things in place so that we can tell someone where to go. So that there's not, I would say, like a chain of command that doesn't make sense for certain concerns. And we need to be respectful of the operational structure that does exist.
And I was also, do you want me to address kind of what I inherited or like, again, thinking specifically of the safety committee? You know,
Yeah.
I understand where people are coming from. I will also say, the people have made the remark, you know, Tim, you've been here a year, why haven't you fixed this? So I think part of it too is about, you know, people's expectations. Knowing that the staff were really underinvested in, you know, and even simple things like you were saying, you know, the lack of access to functional technology. The number of times our black and white printer here doesn't even work for the members of the public. You know, I know the Friends bought the Lansingburg branch a printer, but because the library didn't have any money that was specifically dedicated to technology, we fell so far behind on all of our printing hardware, PCs, and it just really impacts staff ability to do their day-to-day job, which does include, you know, that type of emergency. You know, having to be a supervisor and print out a banning letter and deliver it to someone, you know.
Can I comment on that for a second too?
Well,
Finish it.
yeah, and just very quickly too, I know that right now in the legislature, there is a bill that's stalled out that's focused on library worker safety that came about There was an event at the Finkelstein Memorial Library where a library worker walked over to a guy and asked him to turn down his music, and he stabbed them to death. So dealing with the public and working at a public library, unfortunately, has just become a far more dangerous task than many people like really consider. Um, we have such an open space here at the main library and at Lansingburg, where the staff don't have any place when you think about active shooter training, run, hide, fight. We don't have any place to hide. There's glass windows that people can break through, and people can just walk behind the circulation desk. So I know that I am trying to work with our HR consultant. Previously, in other libraries, there was a thing called the Safety and Emergency Action Plan that I was responsible for in each building that detailed like evacuation points, who's a safety marshal, who's the office manager that's responsible for ordering certain supplies or tourniquets and things like that, making sure that the batteries and the AED were up to date. So I am working to identify those areas, those gaps in training. It does just unfortunately take time, and then because we don't have the staff capacity to like do trainings and keep the library open, right now we are limited to those quarterly town halls to get all of our professional development in. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge, and no, the staff really don't have what they need. In some aspects, particularly related to training. So I do agree with you. Go ahead, Reed.
Let's talk culture on that note.
Yep.
This staff has also been inadvertently trained to not bring anything to leadership because they had a former leadership and transition. So that would be non-responsive or leave it to them to handle on their own. So what is also happening is that you're not being made aware of. It could be a facility issue or a safety concern, or maybe someone is concerned to go to you with those. And so there has been that it sounds like that cultural assessment is essential. There's also been communication about procedure and whether to follow it, and concerns about law enforcement.
Mhm.
And I know we are looking at ICE policy or law enforcement or other things, and the question is going to be, does the staff feel comfortable following that? And that's an issue that I think is in conflict right now culturally, because you have a number of people who frankly are probably deeply traumatized from their time here.
Mhm.
And so how do we take care of their needs? It's not something that we can address, but you're going to do that with Sam and the cultural assessment to just get a feel for where everyone is at, right?
Just to support with what Rhea was saying, there was the event where the guy harassed people and then threatened them if they walked out into the street. And so he was banned for a year, and I sent out an email to staff after that, just letting them know that like we have a zero tolerance policy for people who harass library workers and things like that. And then another member of staff felt comfortable to email me to talk about an event that happened the week before where they were being sexually harassed that they didn't report to their supervisor. So I was glad they felt comfortable enough to talk to me about that. But it was a week after it had happened, and the patron had come back into the library and made them feel uncomfortable. So we had a staff member who was hiding in the back room without really, telling their supervisor about that. So we've taken action now, we're taking action, but it's hard. It's hard that, people didn't feel comfortable in the past to bring this to the director or their supervisor.
Or it feels like a values conflict sometimes.
Yeah.
Someone may not want to call,
Sure.
right, for various reasons.
Yep.
So how do you put procedure in place? How do we support it on the policy side? In many cases, we're having a chicken or the egg with policy and procedure. We need the procedure to exist, but you need staff to be aligned and trained on that. And that gap is there.
If anyone is interested in reading about moral injury in healthcare workers and those in the helper industries, that's like a thing. It's like a contributing factor to PTSD. Like you're saying, when people feel like they have to go against their values. In cases where, again, we have someone who is clearly unwell, who is causing a scene at the library, but does calling the police department to keep the other library workers safe than risk this person's life, depending on what they look like and et cetera. It's not a, yeah, there's a lot of literature on the topic.
This is going to come up later, but I can just quickly mention it now. I'm talking to the system and Tim about possibly doing a governance and operations training with UHLS. The goal would be to have us not have UHLS present at us because we've already had that at a high level, but instead to talk deeply about a couple of issues like concerns or policy formation so that we can get into what's operational versus what's governance, because we often are in conflict there. And it's not conflict, it's
gray area.
yeah, sometimes it's hard to know.
Yep.
So let's just take a couple things that are active concerns right now, dig into them deeply in a working session together, and have the system there for Q&A, but not to sit down with a PowerPoint, I
Yep.
think, which, you know, at a high level, we know what governance versus ops is. We need to know the deep, like in the weeds of it.
The wrinkles that we can iron out together.
Yeah.
I appreciate the board's very engaged.
Does anyone have a concern if we were to do something like that, or do we like that idea?
Yeah, I mean, my only concern based on my experience with Upper Hudson, and I say this respectfully, is that I have felt like we get answers that are not real answers because they feel like another version of a grayer answer or maybe a lighter gray answer. So there's that. I don't know, time is precious for me, so my only concern is that, yes, it be like a solidly good use of our time where we come out of it doing something that means something.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it there.
I will speak up on behalf of the system. I know some of it too is the system doesn't want to seem prescriptive at times, like they're telling library boards what to do. So it's a difficult line to walk. But I think if we come in with sort of a clear mandate for them, I think that will help them a lot, you know. And I think that the way that we've talked about it, I think my hope is that it would be very different from our other trainings we've had with them.
If
Sorry,
we could come
Evelyn.
up with situations where we've seen this, where the gray area occurs.
Yeah.
Too, there's also reaching out to Mid-Hudson.
Mm.
And Jerry Nichols, who wrote the original author of the trustee handbook. He has taken a step back, but he might still be functioning, I don't know.
Jerry needs a break.
You know, he'd be very blunt, let me tell you
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
And for other people,
reckless, I love it.
Jerry Nichols was also a library system director and also taught for many years at Long Island University Post. They have a advanced certificate in being a public library director in the state of New York. So he was like the program chair for that for many, many, many years. So Jerry's super knowledgeable about public libraries in the state of New York.
experience beyond.
Yep.
And here's from another angle, there's the new director's handbook
Mhm.
and a book club to go with it. I was debating as I was trying to put together different trainings, to put that in there to say, this is what it's like from the other perspective, and that might not be a bad idea for us to kind of get absorbed in that and see what it is from their perspective. It's one of the things I brought up to the LTAS group about, at some point, would it be great if there was a training? Because we're siloed.
Mhm.
Directors get their training, trustees get their training, but it's not combined, and I'm trying to get them to see maybe we could do another program on just like we're saying, those gray areas of where we both have a say in, say, fiduciary responsibility.
Yeah.
But where does that line come in where
Mhm.
A or B has to make that final decision?
Mhm.
Well said.
Thank you. Agreed.
Yeah.
Cultural assessment, when you complete it, there will be something that we will get as a report or readout from Sam to just kind of let the board know. It's not
Yes.
gonna be each individual employee said this, but it'll be a high level thing that gives us insight and potential next steps with development. Yeah, or
Well,
needs.
And we do want the union just being involved as well, again, just so people, you know, as we start to build the culture with the union, we want people to know who their union reps are, want them to see that, you know, we're all the library. It's not Troy and Lansingburg, it's not management and the union, it's just we are all trying to figure out how to stay safe and have a great work environment.
So they'll be invited.
Yep.
So to my earlier question then, is this to take place as one of those town hall days, or is this a day that Sam's here and folks pop in?
It will kind of start at the town hall. Sam will be available virtually. Sam will be available at his office in Albany. And we're going to try to coordinate with the union so that way we're conducting these interviews with folks. Everyone will be interviewed. You know, we want to try and do it, you know, in sort of a condensed 1 or 2 days if we can. But if not, again, provide options that people feel comfortable and supported.
And on Zoom.
With the option that they have their union representative present?
Oh, yeah, of course,
Okay.
yeah, no,
So
yeah.
union is being invited in advance.
Yep.
Mhm.
The concern is scheduling. If
Yep.
the union goes, oh, but we can't do it, understood, but we also need to move this forward. So how do we make that happen? So they're coordinating on that to figure out how does that availability mesh.
Right.
But so in person, Sam's office, Zoom,
We do not want
Yeah.
people to feel like it's disciplinary in nature or things like that. So that's really the kind of importance of having the union there and just being like, look, was trying to keep everybody safe, trying to figure out what's going on, trying to figure out how we can do better where we're at right now. I think so many people are frustrated, you know, for last year, I mean, in 2024, people had 3 directors. We've hired 18 out of 32 people in the library. So it is very jarring for the folks who've been here for more than, 2 or 3 years to look around and more than half of the people who you knew are gone. So I'm trying to figure, on the one hand, I am glad, some of our managers are getting, in earful from people. And I'm like, thank God people feel comfortable enough to tell their managers what their problems are because they know that we're actually going to take them seriously and fix them and try and keep them safe. But on the other hand, I want to make sure that like, okay, like, how can we just start fresh, move forward,
let's talk about Sam's availability a little bit more too.
Yeah.
Sam did say that he could be potentially on premises maybe once every other week on like a Thursday or something.
Mhm.
And he would not charge us for that time unless someone came to him to talk to him. And that would be just available to the staff because even though Sam has been around for almost a full year now, there have only been a handful of people who have contacted Sam in that period of time. So it may not feel like everyone understands they can contact Sam and about what. So Sam suggested being available, not charging us for the full day because Sam can do his work from anywhere.
I think when we talked to Sam about, how many people have reached out to you, it was like 3 or 4. It was not a large group out of, 33 employees, including myself.
So then once you settle your contract, then would it look like having Sam at what will then be like monthly or whatever cadence it ends up being labor management meetings?
I don't know if Sam will be involved in LMC. I know Sam and I have been working closely on all the other stuff though.
Hmm.
So,
It's a typical practice for HR to be in labor management, but
That sort of begs a question that I've been wondering. Does staff feel that Sam, the HR rep, is there for them and, not for the administration?
I think people in general are very skeptical of HR is what I would say. So,
So,
without going into detail, I know that Sam and I have worked closely with a couple employees who were grateful to have Sam help them with their issue. And I can't say more than that.
Yeah, and I would say that I've gone to Sam confidentially.
Mhm.
Say that. And Sam, it's gonna be up to the person and the dynamic and how they feel, but Sam is not taking those conversations and going to Tim and going,
No.
this is what was said. That would be an incredible breach.
Sam does not report to me.
Right.
Yep.
And Sam is the library's HR resource, so all of us, right?
Yep.
In that sense, so.
Yep.
To your point, we can't convince everybody, but I think Sam is having really good conversations with people over time and helping them with their situations.
And I think that's part of the biggest challenge that I inherited is just I was put into a situation where I had to make a lot of big changes in a very short time without having the trust of staff. And without having kind of that social capital that you really need. And the only way to build trust is just, action and consistency over time. So, I'm trying to just keep my head down and do the work and do the best we can. But it is hard, it is challenging, between having I think the staff had 2 days notice before we had to move them out of the basement and move them upstairs, just with the speed of the contract getting executed and having to coordinate with IT, so. You know, they haven't had their offices, there's so many new hires, there's a lot going on, just a lot of change at the library this past year. It's hard, it has been a difficult year.
Would you say that you need more or less HR support?
More, for
Right.
sure, yep.
So that's the other thing that just to consider from a financial perspective, this is probably the heaviest year for it.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, there's a lot to solve for,
Uh-huh.
but, yeah, curious to look at that.
Well, and the other thing, just, to that point, if we did have internal HR, right now, we don't have any type of maternity leave or these other things that could be more administratively complex. So, again, at some point, I hope that we will get to the point where we have, either an assistant director who has some background in this, or be able to have, more specialized staff who could help us deal with these issues. Lindsay is not an HR
No.
person.
Which did need to be corrected because even the union was confused and thought that people were going to Lindsay.
Right.
Which is not the case.
Which was kind of what Joy filled in the past, but, right.
All right, okay to move on?
Um,
Yes.
depends on what you're moving on to.
Well, I'm also happy to answer.
Are you moving away from the director's report?
Go for it, we'll just get.
With regard to, Tonko and HVAC?
Yep.
I just wanted to bring up how we should be publicizing that, whether we should be publicizing it, he wants us to wait and go through him,
Mhm.
just so people would know.
I do plan on sending an email to his Natalie Lincoln as our contact there. So Natalie and Paul, they did talk about doing a formal joint press release at the end of the month and potential photo op and having him come out here. I know you had asked about sharing it at the Upper Hudson meeting tomorrow, so I have talked to the library system director again, because it's an opportunity for the system to be involved, so. I think at this point, we should get some more guidance from Tonko's office, but I feel like within the circle of libraries, it's probably okay.
So we shouldn't be putting it on Facebook.
Right,
That's where
I would
I'm
avoid
thinking.
Facebook.
I'm like, I don't, until we've got a check in our hand, I don't say anything.
Exactly.
Also, once it's out there,
Right.
they.
Exactly.
Exactly. If they're planning a press release, it's a good thing.
And Maria and I were talking a little bit, but just, that they've been working on this for at least 2 years to try and get that money. I did not think that they would reach out to us prematurely, so. They seemed as excited as I was about the money, so.
Awesome.
Yep.
Is it okay to move on?
Were there any other questions that I could answer about my report? Thank you.
I'm gonna move on for the sake of time. President's report, Library Advocacy Day. We had Library Advocacy Day. It happens. We met with Ashby, we met with McDonald's, the Trustees, or the system organized that. It was nice to see other types of libraries. For my sake, it was the first time I had a chance to go. And it was really cool to hear how schools talk about their needs versus, ours. I think we were a rare one as a special district library and as a library with so many pricey facility needs. And being the poster child. Tammy did an excellent job. We brought swag bags. They did receive them. They probably did not hold on to them. McDonald dove into his.
If it had food in it, she probably ate it.
Exactly. Samantha, Marie, Evelyn, thank you. My mom, thank you.
Troy had the largest group
Patrick,
from.
we were the biggest for sure.
Mhm.
And that's without us doing publicizing, which I'd like to do next time.
Agreed.
I was going off with sickness. But it was wonderful to watch and hopefully it's impactful, but you get so little time with them, so. But McDonald's was very, very, this is what we're dealing with,
Mhm.
straightforward, half the out of us. That's on here.
Although I will say Ashby's chief of staff is a big East Greenbush library user.
She seems
Huge,
very, very.
very in the know with libraries, big supporter.
Okay, so they're working on 2 pieces of legislation, right? 2, 3.
One of them, the Freedom to Read Act stalled out, so now it's the Open Shelves Act that they're reintroducing after getting some feedback. But the big legislative priorities are, stable funding for the New York State Library, an increase in library construction funding from, $44 million to $175 million, which is what, I think when you adjust for inflation, over the course of years from when it was first proposed, the number should be. And then the other legislative ask was about increasing, the per capita funding for textbook aid for students, which hasn't been touched since 2009.
And there wasn't a bill to ask for them to cover, was it repair? No.
Being from Troy, we always, want to see language that would allow for the restoration.
Restoration.
For restoration work to be included in New York State Library construction grants. So for instance, the lay lights in the reading room are not, we're not able to use library construction funds to restore them. It has to be, or renovation or a remediation, so it has to be new construction or, related to, that type of work.
It was nice to hear that, Ashby ran around the library as a child when his father was at Sage. Lots of attachment to the library.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to need to enter executive session on this. We'll try to keep it as short as we can, but, we're going to discuss, the library director's current schedule and, the upcoming 2026 performance review, as well as the past 2025 performance review. That's where the schedule, concern came up, and we're gonna discuss, an updated and amended schedule for the year. So what I would like to do is make a motion to enter executive session at 7:02 PM, to discuss library director's schedule and performance review. Do I have a second?
Second.
Samantha, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously. And Louis,
That. Right, the credit card bill.
hold on, just.
Nobody likes a late fee.
Okay, we
Nobody likes a
exited,
late fee.
executive session at 7:34 PM. Anthony seconded, all in favor, no actions were taken. During that executive session, we found a bill. No.
No, well, that doesn't,
No, that's not what came out of it, no, but
You found the credit card bill.
yes.
I'm looking at it and, you know, that there could be a late fee if we don't pay it. It's due on the 23rd. It's gonna be tight.
How much?
$2,413.56. So I move that we pay this additional bill. Additional to what we approved earlier.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second. Everyone? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. We'll pay the credit card. Was that not on the, it's separate from the expenses? We'll cover that then.
It's listed as a bill and the credit card statement is separate.
Gotcha, that's why we didn't catch it. Okay, thank you. Okay, next agenda item, thank you. You will be in all of this moving forward. Long range planning, we've got facilitator calls happening. We had our first call with Fred Miller from the Quail Jamison Group and Allison last week. Really good feedback. The feedback is that we are in a financial crisis and facing a fiscal cliff.
You know, I've got to say.
Yeah.
That, I don't know if you remember, there was a book. I've seen down and this looks like up to me. So, you know, we've greatly improved from
We
where
have.
we were.
It's the spirit, right?
I do appreciate that. This looks like something instead. Might find it at my local library. Yeah, no, agreed. The advice was don't start on the long range plan until you have a fiscal, some kind of. I like the language of the development plan. So I separately have been, for fun, doing multi-year capital planning training through New York State Comptroller's Office. So I think the timing of it is right. We're also talking about forming the development committee. But we have to have a long range plan. It's part of our long range plan to have a long range plan and as the requirement for the trustees to create. So I don't think that it's one or the other. That's just the very first call that we had. It's one person saying this. We have, it sounds good, yes, in theory, but we already know that we don't even have step one of the
Mhm.
capital planning process, which would be an asset inventory. So I hear what they're saying, but like, how quickly could you get a full asset inventory done by?
It will take time.
Yeah,
Right.
Probably at least 3 months, 3 to 6.
by the time you even get through step one of that, before we move on to the next steps of the capital planning process to develop a development plan.
Mhm.
We're gonna be at the end of the year and not have a long range plan if we're thinking about them in a linear way. So the other group that we're talking to is Library Strategies. We have a call with them. One
Thursday.
Thursday, okay, afternoon.
5 o'clock.
That sounds great.
Yep.
5 or 5:30.
Is that open to the rest of us? Is that fine if we wanna?
You could, I think this is just a high level discovery. What I would love to do is find out, get some initial information
Mhm.
and then bring them all to the table and like make a choice.
Okay,
Have we formed the long range planning committee?
I've sent it out. The doodle I sent out
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
everyone, and the only person that's responded so far is Evelyn.
Did I not? I apologize.
I didn't. get
No,
that
it's fine, just-
doodle. I've been sitting here going like, Ashley, send me a doodle.
Unless I messed something up on my end, but I think if you got it, that means they got it.
I know, if I got it, Aaron's got it. I'm not the tech person.
My only thought was going to be that the long range planning committee, if they were interested and available, should be.
It came to you in an email, right?
Yes, I think.
They would
yeah,
have had to have.
In my email, in Gmail.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
Okay,
had
no
the,
problem. Here's the doodle 2-3.
Doodle with it.
Got it.
Okay,
It's in an email in that thread.
I can try to find it and just resend it.
Yeah,
Okay, but one of the days was 2 days from now, Thursday,
thank you.
Mhm.
for 5 and 6.
Was that was late last week or last week sometime. Okay.
So that's why I haven't heard back.
Yes.
That's right. We can see again. Sorry, I missed that follow-up. Thank you.
That's okay.
We'll both get to that and go from there. So let's form the committee. Let's meet. We should open it to committee members if you'd like. But again, it's just the initial call. Just my
Okay.
concern is how much is it gonna cost? What does it look like?
Mhm.
Collect all that because Fred's free and pro bono.
Right, yep.
They're probably not. Aaron Cohen is the other group. Aaron Cohen and Associates who did the participated in the historic structure report. We've got some concerns, I think.
I have to tell you, he was on a pedestal for me. I drove all the way up north to do a 1-day workshop with him, thought he was the most amazing, fantastic person. And when he was part of that team, I can't tell you how excited I was. And I know things were changed from what the board had wanted that report to be and what it became. But his part of it was a disappointment. And I'll say that in public to him, but I can't tell you how tough that was for me personally after just being so enamored of his work and his thought process.
Right, which I think if
So-
we were a medical or university library with lots of funds, it sounds like they would be great because they get so deep into like how they think about it and academic. We don't have those resources. So that doesn't mean that we shouldn't get that from someone that we've already worked with in the past. Let's get those 3 quotes, bring them to the table. Let's form a long range plan. We'll get back to your doodle.
Yeah, but I just resent it to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Okay to keep going past long range planning. Okay, development committee. The next thing that came out was the conversation about whether to, we know we want to form the development committee. It does feel like something that should happen, I think, in tandem and separately. And that development plan, I shared a resource last night with the finance committee. I can share it with everybody, but it was on, when is a strategic plan not a strategic plan? And the answer was when it's the development plan, and I liked the heading of that. And it was a good point, right? Their point in there is that you really need to have your friends and your foundations be key parts of whatever development plan you have. which right now, when and how do our friends and foundation come together?
The past practice has been once a year.
No, together,
Well, together never. Yeah, exactly.
right? So they don't work in tandem ever, and it's just that we meet with them once a year
Mm.
for the foundation and the friends. But that was our concern, why I was probably the bad guy in the room at the friends meeting. They're not even meeting on a regular basis with their groups, so we did ask for them to do that. And we need to get everyone in the room for who's gonna join the development committee. I have a couple meetings with, I'd say people who are big players in the like donor space of Troy. Ronnie, I'm gonna call next. Wally, I have a conversation with, and then I'm hoping to contact Patrick Madden, who's been on our list. I'm gonna go through Wally to talk to Patrick. Because I think that's the smartest.
His
way.
wife would probably do it.
Yeah, Laura, that's what I was wondering too. I don't know how busy her plate is right now.
Who's
Not
Laura?
hard.
It's Amy?
It's Amy. Amy Williams.
For-
Why did I say?
Or no, my former mayor, sorry, Laura Amos.
Okay.
That's what I was, yeah.
Oh, your Mark's wife.
Yes,
Oh, Patterson,
Hmm?
yes.
is that her name?
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Sorry, yeah.
I had her
I
connected
had
with
those two
Patty.
names mixed
Yeah.
up.
Good to know.
You don't think it might be seen as
Left leaning?
Hmm?
Left leaning?
or siding with one party over another, having a former mayor be
I want
On
to
the
start the
committee.
conversation with him. That doesn't mean we would necessarily add him to the committee. But I think there's no denying how good he is at the business side of things and understanding the dynamics and the people. So let's start there. That doesn't mean we'd necessarily add him, but it seems like a waste to have never had that conversation. And you had already talked to Carolyn about trying to do an intro, and then that I don't think happened.
No.
So I'd like to make some headway there. He also tried to help us briefly around the invoice mess up with the city a while back. So I think that there are a number of people who probably care about the library, vote for the library, but are not engaged with the library and are very strong community leaders that would make sense to talk to. If we can look at multiple stakeholders, not party specific, that would be ideal. I might be a little biased in one direction of people or another just based on my own network. That's where Ronnie came up because I think that there's a lot of respect for Ronnie, and I don't know that that seems partisan in any particular way. So
I wouldn't say she's associated with any party.
exactly. So her name did come up actually as a recommendation from Fred before you even suggested her. So let's talk to these individuals, see what their recommendations are. It doesn't mean they're joining the committee, but we'll find out if they think that there are other people who might, or where the direction that they would like to go in, knowing how much they have done with fundraising or other big gifts or other strategic partnerships.
Just again, for context for the newer members of the board. We have only looking at facilities like a roughly $20 million need for this building. Roughly a $5 million need for Lansingburg if we decide to stay in that building. And then we need to figure out again how to pay for the expansion of the staff to be able to actually provide services to the community that we should be providing. Avoid the closures and things like that. So we have really no small task in front of us when we think about, again, how do we find $40 million, and the longer we sort of delay that, right, the further those costs expand, as we've seen, with the building. I don't know if you can see the crack that goes all the way through the room that we're, looking at, but yeah, we've been trying to do as much as we can with the state library construction grants and increasing our sort of operational capacity, but we're in a tough spot.
Wonder also if it might, maybe somebody from RPI with all the interest that students have in working with the library and looking at the library assets, the lighting and the.
I want us to sit down with them.
Mhm.
So the question is how we get there.
Oh, the president?
Yeah.
Ronnie.
That's what I was wondering, and I was gonna do an intro to the CMO too, before. Just Ronnie.
The only thing is that he may still be very busy with the merger with the pharmacy school.
Mm.
Um, but I would ask her.
Okay.
And in fact, right after you'd come on, there was supposed to be a meeting that never happened.
That's right.
Mhm.
And then in following up on it, Ronnie said, well, now's not a good time because it's so, it's so busy with the,
Ronnie was gonna do that before, okay.
yeah, she facilitated it. The first time she sent a note somewhere.
I also, I'm on a new board with a bunch of RPI people. And I work with Chuck Carletta, who was the, general counsel for RPI for years. I can talk to him about. Who might be a good person to contact at RPI and have them speak to the board or.
Related but unrelated, I know RPI is doing the RPI Forward initiative about how to center themselves in the community, and notably absent is sort of the presence of the library and thinking about how we develop the city of Troy. So that's again, I think of a consequence of having the mentality of, the directors just keeping the doors open and the lights on is it seems like the library is not invited to the table for a lot of these larger civic discussions where we really have a lot to provide.
Yeah.
So
I would argue that I don't think they know.
exactly, well, that's
They may think that we're paid by the city,
exactly.
part of it, right? They have no idea.
Mhm.
There's education here. Let's
Exactly.
pursue it and start these conversations, form the development committee, but. We're gonna have to figure out who goes where, for chairs. Louis,
Yeah.
we're about to get to you. Is it okay to move on from this for right now? Yeah, or do you have a thought?
I have many thoughts, but no, I'll save them for sure.
Okay, union negotiation status, I don't know that I need to be in the room anymore, that was a question. And I was in the room for a particular reason, because Alex was in the room, there was transition.
Essentially, it's not commonplace for the board to be involved with union negotiations, but because of the state of the library at the time. When the union was forming and just sort of a lack of expertise. With staff and management, the board, it was great that they were able to jump in and to help that. When Carolyn left, we brought on Lindsay to the negotiation team. And just acknowledging how much work Ria has done as the only volunteer in the room, and then also, right, everything that we're talking about with the development committee and the long range plan, trying to free up Ria's bandwidth a little bit. So, we have an opportunity for Ria to delegate some of that work off. And for the library management to be more closely reflective of the labor management committee, so that way we can build the relationship really as like an operations focus kind of a thing.
We are now meeting on a almost, is it bi-weekly basis, and it's a nice little 4-hour meeting, again, I'm the only volunteer in the room, and it was nice to hear the union point that out and go, well, thanks that you're here, I'm like. What? And with the cadence of the number of meetings that we're having, almost, it's the majority of the week at this point.
Going from once a month to twice a month, but then we have to have the planning meetings with library council and things like that.
Exactly.
It's a lot.
There's calls, there's work in between, but I do feel like the vast majority of the work, I was the first person, I think, early on screaming, these policies are completely on. Everybody knew it, but like, you guys do have a plan, Sam is looking at that, aligning with Nate, so it's gonna get updated, so. I feel comfortable stepping away if everyone else does. And you were really good at saying to me, yeah, you don't have to be there.
Yeah.
So thank you. Cool.
Seems fine to me.
Yeah, everybody good?
Mhm.
All right. There's a meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do I need to have a formal goodbye, or can you just,
We can, yeah, we'll send your best.
I don't want them to think I got out.
No.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, well, Nate and I talked immediately before this meeting about, if that was what the board had wanted and things like that, that we can
Yeah.
set up an email to navigate the transition. But I also prepped a staff member, just like, look, this might happen, so.
are you gonna bring another member of staff in, or
Yeah.
how would you, yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
With you.
Right, just on the management side of
Yes.
things, someone who would be on the labor
actual
management council, things like that, yep.
Which feels, you guys are now into such like the detail of some of these policies that I don't have anything else to add because it's. We spent way too long talking about a chair
Yep.
in the last meeting. And I'm just gonna, I don't wanna go into more depth. Okay, okay, to keep going, committee assignments and co-chairs, where's Lewis? Lewis, you're down here on new business. We're going to have to get to this, but you did express that you would be interested in finance and infrastructure as two committees to be a part of. So. Wait, finance, would you like to have Lewis?
Yeah.
I already said that
Making it a fit, though.
Please stay.
If you want to reject it.
No, I think the more people who know about finance, the better,
Mhm.
the more board members.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
I'm pleased that you would like to be on the committee.
Thanks for having me.
All right, I'm looking around at like admin develop, we still have to figure out development, long range, et cetera. But we'll do that. So we're gonna have to come up with a new schedules, check your schedule against theirs to make sure that you can meet those days and times. We'll coordinate. I made a nice, beautiful binder for you. And then left it at my house.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna get you your binder this week if I can drop it off to you sometime.
Sure.
Okay, but within there, I do wanna put the new amended schedules for each of the committees. And thank you to the board, everyone volunteered to do something to kind of get some working documents in place. That would be, like a contact list for everyone on the board, or just a resource list, for signing up for Ask the Lawyer or NYLA or other things, right?
I apologize, I was supposed to include a staff list, for the board at this meeting, I can print that out afterwards and provide that to the board.
Thank you.
Yep.
That is, yeah.
And now that Lewis is not joining mine, we didn't decide on a standing time because of that. So at the next meeting, we will finally decide on a standing time. We'll get it on the calendar. And then if there's a master list or whatever we're doing.
We'll just put them, print them all out and maybe post them to the site also. No, we don't need to. A physical copy,
We can talk about that.
Okay. I'll leave them. Is it okay to keep going?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna cover Google Drive training, I think we can do it in 10 minutes or less at the end of this. New business. Lewis.
Could
Yeah,
I just comment?
Yeah.
You don't have election committee under ad hoc.
I don't, because I guess we're not done. We have one more meeting.
One more meeting and then the committee will probably start up in the fall.
What are we waiting on to make that meeting? Are we, I'm trying to remember.
I don't think we're waiting on anything.
Well, because Celia was on it, right?
Yeah, but that's like, I guess like,
Weren't you doing like one more meeting or something?
Yeah.
we are, and
Yeah.
I guess, am I the chair of it?
No, I am.
You are,
Mhm.
okay, can you
And-
schedule it?
Yeah, there's a doodle poll I have to look at to see when people have been able to make it.
Did I respond?
Outline.
I'm just fine.
You didn't voice an interest in being on the committee, attending the meeting.
I'm a president, I should be at home, but yeah.
So the doodle poll wasn't sent to you. It was sent to Tim, Samantha and Evelyn.
But why not me if I was previously on it?
Because you didn't say that you wanted to, I sent an email asking who wanted to be.
Everybody that was on it before, keep us on it.
Attend the
Be
meeting,
on it.
and the only.
What
two
is the
people-
reason for this next one? Did we not have an election?
Marie was going to conduct the data analysis.
Well,
I'm
and
gonna recap, and I think there was some,
Okay.
it was an after action also to just go through some of the things from before. And honestly, Carolyn did a really great job
Mhm.
organizing it, so I would just like to recall which.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of, from an after action perspective, like, there was at least one thing that we just. Was really important that we were missing, so we just wanna note that and go, okay.
Yes.
So,
So can you, if it's not too much, can you resend it out to all of us and then whoever?
well, what I was going to do was. Schedule at a time that was convenient to the people who said they wanted to be on it, and I was going to. Then, whatever the date, send it out to everybody. But you're saying that you want to be
Yeah,
present for that meeting?
we were always by default on it, I will say Ashley and I were always by default. on
Yeah, I'm
it.
like kind of confused by that, but yeah, it. It's up to you, I guess. You're chairing it, but I would prefer to be included. If I can make it, I will.
Yeah, Maureen, can you send us the doodle poll?
It was hard to find dates. We have so many meetings. It was difficult to find dates.
When is it scheduled for right now?
It isn't scheduled for any date.
The other 2 days, I think, were going to be like Wednesday, the 18th, maybe it was
And then
a 19th. They were Thursdays and the one Wednesday, and kept saying, I can't do those Thursdays. I hope 7.
Just send it out, we'll figure it out. We'll go from there. Thank you.
Maybe we have to get some new
The good news
members.
is it's not until August, so.
I was gonna say, if
we
you
get
don't
it
need to
done.
be in February.
right. Well, except that, the longer it goes, the less we'll remember.
Valid.
So it's
Right, but I'm just saying we're already at February 10th. If it happens in March, I think we'll be all
We got-
right.
We gotta keep it moving. We're okay. Well, not to, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that to you, I'm saying to all of
and it,
us.
it would be good to get it off our plate to
Yes.
get it done.
Mhm.
I realized that there was something I neglected in my director's report that is new business worthy. Essentially, HBO did reach out to us for a date in mid-June for filming. I did bring up some of the work that they didn't take care of the last time they were here. They were deeply apologetic, and so we're compiling a list of all the things they didn't take care of, and we're renegotiating and all that. So, but the tentative date was in mid-June. So
Can we not get renegotiated to get paid?
You said.
I'm working
money.
on it.
Okay, that's what I'm
Well,
saying.
yeah,
like,
I'm
what
working
if-
on that too.
Cause
Yep.
they gave us money to move our cars, so.
Exactly.
That's what you
Yep.
were like. I think
You can
I
get some
heard
of that.
that.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay, are we okay to keep going?
Yes.
Okay, new trustee appointment. Louis. Siragusa, did I say that correctly? Okay, awesome. Do I make a motion?
Well, I believe, our practice
Yeah.
is to have the trustee president and the trustee kind of stand up and, you ask Louis to raise his hand and give a
Here,
vote.
do you have, I have those documents.
Mhm.
Wait,
I believe Lindsay did give those documents to you. I
Okay,
can print new documents if we need them.
they're in that.
I'll be right back. Yep, I'll be right back.
We were so organized.
I'll be right back.
Wait, we need,
The code,
the code of conduct,
That's-
the conflict of interest, the oath of office.
Okay.
Yes,
Mhm.
please. I'm at about 2 hours of sleep, I'm sorry. That's not normal, but it did happen last night. It is my daughter's birthday today.
And that's right, the teacher, you said that.
Yeah.
Make the movie.
We did make the movie. We had 7 children go see the Stray Kids concert. It's phenomenal. I don't know if anyone else is really K-pop, but. It was the #1 movie when it debuted on Friday. In the world. Okay. Louis, you're gonna stand up, you're gonna take the oath of office. It'll be short. After that, you're gonna sign a conflict of interest statement unless you need to take time with it. And then the code of conduct, which is much longer. And if you can sign that. So.
Yes.
Did you sign it? Did everyone sign?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
check something in the lobby.
Okay.
That has to do with this.
Our code of conduct or the?
Oh, not ours, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a good. Our code of conduct is now posted to our library board page. Also, Lindsay got that live, which is great. It's, linked from our agenda stuff. I swear I'm gonna get that by then. And you will be getting it a full year before others trustees ever got theirs. Okay. Sure. Is everyone okay with March 10th at 5:30 PM for our next board meeting? Well,
Standing meeting.
I
Yeah.
know.
My God, I have to- I
Let
have
me
to-
phrase this differently. Is anyone not gonna be here next time? Or is everyone okay?
Stevie, no. Code of conduct, the printed code of conduct is behind Bruno.
I think it was in Lansing. but
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. It depends on where the incident is. Yeah,
Yes.
there were enough.
That's why I startled when you said that. If you could see, look at my face. It's up there. It's up there. I see it.
Yeah, someone had to run into the
Okay.
office or somewhere else.
I had to satisfy my curiosity.
Do we have any?
January, February, March.
Can I have a gratitude? Look at you, look exhausted, are you okay?
No, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. But I'm okay.
I saw Bobby outside. Oh, wait, Barkley.
Oh, yes.
They bold.
Can Barkley come into the library and be with us next time? As emotional support?
You got them coming into the library.
Mm,
He's-
Dogs come into the library,
Yeah.
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 other than emotional support dog.
Not always in a friendly man.
Yeah.
So,
I should have Barkley come to our read across center instead of these cop dogs. German shepherds, no less.
I was gonna say, that's the-
The irony's not lost on me. But Barkley would be cute. How does he do around? He's fine around kids, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Most of the
yeah. A dog that slobbers like that has to be fine around kids. It's mandatory.
Have you ever looked into doing like the training and stuff?
like be a therapy dog.
That takes sense.
It does. I mean, he's extremely food motivated, so he's easy to train, but
Same.
possibly kid motivated, where, you know, be in those contexts, yeah, we have a bit of a bother, but.
That's. Okay, we could start cleaning up. It's not that we're all really excited. This was a bit lengthy, but thank you.
He was on.
Yeah, we can wait. Oh, yeah, we are gonna do. No, we're not gonna do it on here. I'm actually gonna put my laptop.
Oh, okay.
And if let me put it this way. Who wants to stay for Google Drive training? Because it's been a long.
But we could do it another day. I'm willing, it doesn't have to be done now if you're exhausted, and
Yeah,
I'm not an easy student.
Yeah.
If
I agree with that one.
Thank you.
There is a typo there, where it's 2025 and not 2026, but we can cross
Do you
it.
know who owns that book?
I don't know.
I'm just gonna scratch it off.
Can the attorneys in the room say it's fine? So.
Do I need to initial?
or no, just in case.
Would you like to? Do sorry.
You do it.
You do.
I've never done this. I'm so sorry. I'm drawing a.
You're doing great, Rio.
I stand up and.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right, here's my first one.
Do you want a picture of your parents?
Oh, yeah. Lisa.
Oh, it's so sweet. I'm just kidding. I got you. I got you.
Okay, you're going to, so.
Yeah,
Sure.
Everybody looking.
Wait, do I do this?
No, he does, you don't.
Oh, you do this.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
the duties of the office of the trustee
the duties of the office of the trustee
of the Troy Public
of
Library.
the Troy Public Library.
I should have had Louis Saragusa, so, but can we say your name?
I, Louis Siriusa,
There you go.
swear all of those things again.
Wonderful. We'll have you sign it. And we're also gonna give you a conflict of interest form,
Mhm.
a code. And.
Thank you.
Oh, oh, here, this one. And I'm gonna do one more thing. Welcome officially to the Board of Trustees.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay.
I don't have, the Sensi doesn't have an email set up and I know.
He
I don't-
does.
Oh, okay, well, I
He
just
does
texted it to you if you want to just shoot it to.
I was about to ask, do we want to make a motion to officially recognize? So I would like to make a motion to recognize, appoint, I would like to make a motion to appoint Louis Siragusa
But he's elected.
to the Board of Trustees of the Troy Public Library. Do I have a second?
A second.
Anthony seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Welcome to the Board of Trustees.
Welcome,
Ha ha ha, no,
sucker.
thank you. Yeah, I'm not great at the motions, so thank you very much, Anthony. We're on it. Any other community feedback?
Can I just ask now that we have Louis on, just the development question, who, like, how is that moving forward in terms like who's chairing it? What's the plan?
No answer. That's me. I gotta figure that out.
Okay,
And talk
it
to
doesn't mean we have to
everybody.
go through it. I just want to make sure that there's not like something I'm missing, but
We-
okay.
We've talked in the past about who potential chairs could be, but we also have a long range plan committee that
Exactly,
needs a chair, so we gotta,
yes.
there's too much happening, so we're gonna have to talk.
Yeah, I'm concerned about capacity, so that's why I'm asking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is an ad hoc committee. Well, never mind.
But yeah, we don't have to figure, but that's my overall concern.
Agreed. Yeah, every time we add a committee, we need to put people on it.
Correct.
But that's also an ad hoc committee, that's why we're talking to people to see if we can bring in some outside folks, so.
I'm working on the charter updates as fast as possible.
Okay, any community feedback? I did have some community feedback, we shared it, so I'm just gonna leave it there. I did have, FT attendance in Berg. I don't know what that was. Random note, I do think it's not random, related. Patrick, is he the one that's working on the updated social posts lately?
Yes.
Anything going on socials coming from Patrick, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They look really good. There's a lot of information. Love the emojis. And when I am resharing them into like community groups, they're getting a lot of positive engagement and people are seeing a lot more of the library because of his efforts. So there have been some positive comments, emojis, reshares. I mean, we get that typically, but it feels like because there's more consistency now and a lot more depth of information because he can take more time with it. Things like the tax forms or museum passes or the most recent food hall at with
Lansingburg.
Lansingburg
Mhm.
got really good responses.
I'll pass that along. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you also pass along, I'm upset that the Elmo birthday bash at Lansingburg's registration's closed and Ben can't go.
Oh,
No, it's okay. Actually, I saw it and I felt sad, and then I also was like, oh, but it's full, that's good.
We also had a gentleman with an Elmo costume reach out to us about appearing as Elmo.
Alright, don't rub it in.
So.
That was-
Well, we haven't ironed that out, but I was like, it was interesting. It's a niche market, children's performers.
I have a background.
Yeah.
You have
I'm not awesome.
There's
Okay,
like a no-show worth 5 or
Yeah.
10.
any public comment? No public. I would like to make a motion. Well, the next meeting date and time will be March 10th at 5:30 PM, and I'd like to make a motion to adjourn at 8:09 PM. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Have a good night.
So we're not doing the Google thing.
Um,
Not tonight.
Here's what we're gonna do. Are you sure it's-